La 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 la. All right, I think we are. We are live. What is up, everybody? Happy Monday. Orioles Weekly is back. We are back talking Orioles baseball. Going a little bit early tonight because obviously the Orioles start at 6:35 tonight with their next game. So I wanted to kind of get started a little bit early. Hope everybody's having a great start. It's been a few weeks since we've done an Orioles Weekly. Last week we were out of town, so we weren't able to, unfortunately, do any game of the week or sport or Orioles Weekly, and that was kind of the reason why we weren't able to do any live streams last week. We are obviously hit live today with Orioles Weekly, and we got lots to talk about for sure. And we will not have an Orioles a game of the week this Wednesday because the Orioles play at like 12 o'clock on Wednesday, and I got to work, so I can't call the game. But we will get into that. But for those just first, if you're coming in for the first time, good to have all of you here. I hope anybody that might be new, welcome. Good to have you. If you are new here, please consider subscribing and also giving us a thumbs up for the video. We're already at 6. I'd like to get to 20 likes before the end of the stream tonight. But anyway, lots of Orioles news to talk about. We're going to talk about some Gunnar Henderson. We're going to talk about the Craig Kimbrell situation. Orioles made some roster moves today. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the upcoming series against Toronto, specifically tonight's game. We'll look at lineups. We'll look at the pitching matchup and a few other things, and we'll kind of go from there. I see 5 people are already watching. If you want, just say hello in the chat. Good to have you here. But again, our schedule, of course, every Monday, 6 p.m., most Mondays, 6 p.m., Orioles Weekly, our live stream as we talk all things Orioles. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, Orioles and Major League Baseball videos. I posted a video today. I was going to wait till tomorrow, but I really wanted to get it out. Talking about the Orioles outfield. If you get a chance, you should really go watch that video. It's a good in-depth look at the Orioles starting outfield of Austin Hayes, Cedric Mullins, and Anthony Santander. And kind of my thoughts on what I think the future for those 3 guys hold when it comes to their time with the Orioles. So check that out. Also, if you could, check out our Wednesday games of the weeks. Of course, we just talked about that. And, of course, Thursdays and Fridays, we have our Orioles Hall of Fame profiles, which is one of my favorite things for sure. What's up? Jeannie is here and Kimberly. Hey, Kim. Kim Hazard's here. Kimberly, good to see you. Hope you and Karen and the family and everybody's doing well. But anyway, so yeah, lots to talk about with today's stream. We're going to get started here in just a minute. But let's talk about the lineups. We'll talk about tonight's game. Pitching matchup tonight for the Orioles and the Toronto Blue Jays. Barrios is pitching for Toronto. Right now he's 4-3 with a 2.85 ERA, 38 Ks. Of course, Corbin Burnes is pitching for the Orioles. He's 3-2 with a 2.83 ERA and 47 Ks. So should be a really good pitching matchup tonight. Both pitchers are doing really, really well on the season. And it should be a good pitching matchup. For the Orioles, I tell you, they really have not scored any runs. The last 2 starts for Corbin Burnes, they have not been able to really support him and give him some runs. So I'm hoping they are able to do that tonight. LOR, hey, Laura, welcome in. Says, got a question to you. Why did the Orioles struggle against average teams? Well, I wouldn't say they struggle against average teams. I mean, they got the best record in the American League. They got the second best record in baseball. I think they're doing pretty good overall. Hey, what's up, Chris? Chris Lemmer's in the chat as well. Good to see Chris. So, Laura, I wouldn't really say they struggle against average teams. I think they're doing just fine. They're winning series, and that's what they need to do for the most part. That's what they need to do. Again, best record in the American League, second best record in baseball behind the Phillies, Chris's team. So I think they're doing exactly what they need to do. And to be honest with you, with a lot of the adversity that they've had, I'm actually kind of surprised they're doing as well as they're doing, because they've had a lot of different obstacles, and I get it. Every team has obstacles. But they've had a lot of obstacles. I mean, you've got, starting pitching injuries that they've had. They've had some players go on the injured list. The outfield for the Orioles, the starting outfield of Hayes, Santander, and Cedric Mullins have struggled mightily all season so far. None of them are really doing a good job. So your entire outfield has been struggling. But for the most part, they've held fast. They've been real steadfast and doing pretty good. Daniel Barry Sports, welcome in. Good to have you here. Happy Monday to you. Even the best teams in the major leagues lose 60 to 70 games a year. Exactly, Chris. if you win 100 games, that still means you lost 62. So you're exactly right. You're not going to beat everybody all the time. But, hey, Sony, welcome in. Good to have you here. Guys, thanks everybody for being here. Looks like we got a lot of you in here already. 5 watching, already 12 likes. I was hoping to get to 20. We might get there for sure. But let's get right into what we're going to talk about tonight when we talk about the Orioles. Again, here's your pitching matchup. Barrios for Toronto, Corbin Burnes for the Orioles. Usually when Corbin Burnes is on the mound, usually it spells win for the Orioles. But you can't win if you don't score, and the last couple times out, they have not been scoring when he's been on the mound, but we'll see. Here's tonight's lineups. Schneider is batting first, playing left field for Toronto, followed by Varsho in center field. Batting third at first base is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Batting fourth at shortstop is Bo Bichette, who's really been struggling this year. Vogelbach is batting fifth at DH. Kirk is batting sixth at catcher. Kiner Falefa is batting seventh and playing second base. Kevin Biggio is batting eighth in right field, and Clement is batting ninth at third base. Toronto's been struggling all year long. They've been one of the worst teams in baseball, or at least they're one of the worst teams in the American League East for sure. So they've been struggling. So I'm hoping the Orioles can really take advantage of this series and really, I hate to say kick this team but while they're down, but they really need to take advantage of it while they can. I think they were 10-3 against Toronto last year. They need to try to get off to that kind of start again this year against them. Welcome into Randall. Hey, Randall, welcome in. Had to refresh your use chat. Yeah, I don't know why it does that sometimes. I don't know if that's a YouTube thing or not, but I apologize. But I'm glad you're here. As for the Orioles, batting first, playing shortstop is Gunnar Henderson. Second at catcher, Adley Rutschman. Batting third and DHing is Ryan O'Hearn. Fourth at first base, Ryan Mountcastle. Fifth in right field, Anthony Santander. Sixth and left fielder, Colton Cowser. Seventh, Jordan Westberg at third base. Eighth in center field, Cedric Mullins. And ninth at second base, Jorge Mateo. So that's your lineups for tonight's game. For the Orioles, of course, Gunnar Henderson's really putting on a show this year. Batting .271. He's got the 12 home runs, 27 RBIs. He leads the team in both marks. He's tied for the lead in RBIs with Jordan Westberg. But I am going to get into that in a little bit. We got some interesting topics to talk about. And Toronto's in last place. Yeah, not playing too well. I think they're like 3 or 4 games under 500 right now. But still a lot of talent on that team, so you can't take them lightly. You've got to really play your best game against them because, sooner or later, some of these hitters, like a Bo Bichette who's hitting 203, they're going to turn it around. It's just too much talent. But the thing about Toronto is if they wait too long, if they really fall behind in the standings, decisions with that team are going to have to be made on their future. Are they going to re-sign guys like Guerrero and Bichette, or are they going to try to package them and maybe rebuild? We'll see. Because they've got a lot of talent, but they have not lived up to that talent over the last 2 to 3 years. But a couple moves by the Orioles today. Kyle Stowers was promoted, was called up from AAA, and Heston Kjerstad was sent back down to the minor leagues. I want to kind of touch on this because I have to talk a little bit about that. So again, Kyle Stowers, he's been called up by the Orioles. He is going to be with the team today, and the corresponding move was Heston Kjerstad was sent back down to the minor leagues to AAA. So I want to go over a couple things. We'll talk about Heston. We'll start with Kyle Stowers' numbers at AAA so far this year. So in 146 at-bats so far at AAA, he's got 11 home runs, 32 RBIs. He's batting .240 with an .856 OPS. So the OPS is good. The home runs, the RBIs are good. The average could be a little bit higher. I'm a little upset with the .240 mark. And I'm trying to think of the reason why the Orioles made this move. But when they talked to Brandon Hyde a little bit earlier today, exactly what I thought is what he said. Basically, they're sending Heston Kjerstad back down because they want him to have regular at-bats. And he's not getting those at-bats up here. My answer to that would be, then why did you call him up at all? Why didn't you just call up Kyle Stowers from the very beginning? Because when you look at Kjerstad's numbers in AAA, he had in 86 at-bats, which is basically 50 at-bats less than what Kyle Stowers has had. He had 10 home runs, 32 RBIs. He was batting .349 with a 1.175 OPS. So Heston Kjerstad, in my opinion, has nothing left to prove at the AAA level. He has just dominated AAA pitching, and they're going to send him back down just to keep him fresh, I guess, in regular at-bats. And that's kind of what Brandon Hyde said. Because of the two, if I'm the Orioles, I would rather have Kjerstad play than Kyle Stowers. But they want Stowers up, I guess, because, I don't know, maybe long-term they don't think Kyle Stowers is going to be an answer on this team. And if he sits, his development isn't paramount to the Orioles. And the development of Heston Kjerstad is. I keep rubbing my hands. I've got this big bruise on that. You see that right there? Got bit by one of those fire ants yesterday. It's killing me. But anyway, I don't know what the Orioles are going to do with Stowers. He's not in tonight's lineup, obviously. So he's probably just going to do the exact same thing we saw with Heston Kjerstad. Is he's just going to sit for the majority of his time up here. Randall said they are showcasing Stowers for trade piece. Maybe, that's a good point, Randall. I think there's some legitimate. I think there's some legitimacy to that statement. I really do, because I don't think that they see Stowers long term for this team. I don't know that they do. They want more than they normally get for Stowers. They might. I don't know. We'll see. But I think it's one of those things. I think you have a legitimate point. I don't think the Orioles have any intention of trading Heston Kjerstad. Again, number 2 overall pick in the 2021 or 2020 draft, 2022 draft, one of those two. One of those drafts. The number 2 overall pick, not the Orioles' second pick, the overall second pick. He is going to rake at the major league level at some point. It's just going to be a matter of time. Remember, he's only, I think, 23 years old, is Kjerstad. He's still very young. I think you tend to have a good point. We may see some at-bats from Stowers, and hopefully, if he's hitting well, he may be a trade piece come July. I think there's some legitimate facts to that comment, Randall. I think you make a good point. But we will see. But again, I like Kjerstad. I really wish he would have got more at-bats. He got in like six or 7 games. He had 14 at-bats. He went like 2 for 14. It's a small sample size. There's not much you can do with that. And, there were times when I thought he should have been playing against right-handers, and he didn't, and I just didn't understand it. So sending him down is probably going to be the better move for him to continue his development. And for the Orioles, it's really just kind of a switch up. Stowers is a little bit better defensively, although Kjerstad has gotten better as time has gone on. His defense has been developed, and he's gotten better defensively, so he's getting there for sure. But we'll see. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with this. But Stowers is not in the lineup tonight, and if I'm not mistaken, I think we'll see him at the very least Wednesday, because Wednesdays is a day game after a night game. If he's not playing today, he's not starting. If he doesn't start tomorrow, I think you will see Stowers in the lineup Wednesday afternoon for sure. But we'll see. Another move today that did happen, and I'm going to bring this up now, because when I wrote this, I didn't know what the Orioles were going to be doing, but I put it in here as Austin Hayes is about to return, but actually Austin Hayes did return today. The Orioles actually activated him from the injured list, and they designated for assignment Ryan McKenna, which is kind of too bad. I like Ryan McKenna a lot. I like him as a fourth or fifth outfielder. His defense is really good. He can run. He's actually got some really big hits for us this year. He had a couple home runs. He was hitting the ball really well off the bench. He's a great presence in the clubhouse. Everybody loves him. He's an incredibly positive guy, very supportive, and is ready to go when you need him. Pigtown Sports, welcome in. Good to see you. So, Austin Hayes has been... he's been activated. He's not in the lineup tonight either, but they did activate him. And Ryan McKenna has been designated for assignment. Now, the thing about McKenna is, if I've read correctly, is if he clears waivers, he does have the option of not accepting an outright assignment to AAA and becoming a free agent. And that would be a bummer, because I would really like to see if he clears waivers. Now, he's already been DFA'd once, and he cleared waivers, and he took the assignment to AAA. I hope that if he clears again, that he takes the assignment and stays in the organization, because I really like this guy. But I get it. He may at some point say, you know what? It's not going to happen for me here. There's a lot of guys that are going to be blocking me. And that's true. And he may say, you know what? It's time to go elsewhere. But if he's not claimed, becoming a free agent, if you weren't claimed, why would free agency be any different? So we'll see about that. I don't know. But Austin Hayes is back. Pickdown Sports says Hayes coming back to the start, in my opinion. Cowser to center. Mullins on his last leg. May get sent down soon. I don't know that they'll do that with Cedric. I would be okay with it if Cedric Mullins continues to hit 192. But see, here's my thing to that. No room for McKenna. I agree, Randall. You're right. You're absolutely right. Here's what I'll say. Why are you going to send down Why are you going to send down Cedric Mullins? Why don't you send down Austin Hayes? Cedric Mullins is a much better defender. He doesn't have the arm that Hayes has, but he's a much better defender. He's going to go get the ball. He can track the ball better. He can steal bases. He's hitting better than Austin Hayes is. Austin Hayes, at least Cedric's got home runs. He's got doubles. He's driving the ball. Austin Hayes hasn't done anything. And I'm not going to look at what he did in his rehab assignment. He's hitting AA pitching. So he should do well against AA pitching. I don't know, Picktown Sports, about that one. I don't know that I would send down Cedric Mullins. Personally, in my opinion, I think they should have sent Austin Hayes down and said, you're going to the minor leagues for a while. We'll see how things go. But I get it. If they send Mullins down, I'm not going to be mad about it if he continues to hit 192. But in my opinion, it's kind of a head scratcher to do that when you've got a guy in Austin Hayes who's hitting 111 and isn't driving the ball at all. So that's just it. He's 218 last 435 at bats, so not like it's just a slump. And he has 0 defensive runs saved in the last 2 years. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I find more value in Austin Hayes. I don't know. His defensive run saved, that catch he made earlier in the year, I think he saved a run or two on that one. Did you read about all the issues Hayes had in spring and coming out of spring, so he's finally healthy? I don't think he's ever healthy. I don't. Austin Hayes has never given us a full season, either health-wise or performance-wise. Even last year, he was healthy for pretty much the entire season, but he gave us half a season. He gave us the first half. He was terrible in the second half. So I get what you're saying, but if we're gonna do that, look at the numbers that Austin Hayes put up last year, over 400 and something at bats, just as bad as Cedric Mullins. Or is that who you're talking about? Maybe that's who you're talking. Are you talking about Austin Hayes or Cedric Mullins when you said 218 over his last 435 at bats? Not like it's a slump, and he has 0 defensive runs saved in the last 2 years. Are we talking about Hayes or are we talking about Cedric Mullins? I just want to make sure. But Hayes, Hayes is one. They said that he got food poisoning twice, lost 12 pounds each time. Then he got hit and wasn't healthy. Fair enough. Excuse me. I want Austin Hayes to do well. Okay, but I still don't think Austin Hayes or Cedric Mullins are long for this team. I don't think they're long for this team. I look, Picktown Sports, I'm with you. I have no problem with with Cedric Mullins being sent down and putting Colton Cowser in center field. I think he can play a very good center field. I think he's very good defensively. I don't think he's as good as Cedric Mullins defensively, but I think he's a very good replacement for him. Yeah, Mullins has definitely been struggling. He batted .233 for the season last year, and you see what he's hitting this year. He's hitting 192. Austin Hayes last year, he hit .276, but again, most of that, he hit .325 in the first half, or .330 in the first half last year. So he hit .276 for the season, but he was hitting .330 in the first half, so he didn't do anything in the second half. Yeah, no, it's been really rough to watch, and that was kind of my video I did earlier, and I said it at the beginning of the stream tonight was, the Orioles to be the best team in the American League and the second best record in baseball with an outfield that's basically virtually done nothing all season. Cowser started great, but Hayes, Mullins, and Santander have been really struggling all year, and now Cowser on top of it is struggling. They don't have any production out of their outfield right now. Maybe Santander is starting to break out of it. We'll see, but we'll find out. Whose idea was it to put Cowser in center against the Diamondbacks? I like Cowser personally. I think Cowser's fine in center field. Cedric Mullins has been struggling, so They sat him and they put him out there. Yeah, and I agree, Pigtown Sport. He is a center fielder. He'll be just fine out there. If they put him out there, he can do the job very, very well. But anyway, Austin Hayes is back with the team. I expect probably to see him in the lineup tomorrow. Unless Cowser has a big night tonight and is hot. But if Cowser goes like 0 for 4 tonight, we'll probably see Austin Hayes tomorrow. Yeah, Santander was pooped last year in April too, and then ripped off in May. Hopefully we're about to see the same. I hope so, but this is May 13th. This is, we're not at May 1st now. We're coming up to the middle of the month. If he's going to get going, he better get it going. I know he hit that grand slam the other day, but that was in a 7-1 game. There was no pressure. 7-1 became 11-1. I don't know. It's still a grand slam. I get it. But, the Orioles as an offense have been struggling in the outfield, period. I mean, it is what it is. But hopefully they'll get better. We'll see. So we talked about Kyle Stowers. We talked about Austin Hayes. I do want to talk about the Craig Kimbrell issue. And I'm sure I'll get a lot of comments. I'm sure Pigtown Sports has something to say about this. I'm sure that Randall probably has something to say about this, and rightfully so. Guys, 17 legs. We're almost to 20. Let's see if we can get there tonight. Yeah, he was like 202 last April and 330 in May, so hopefully we'll see things start to take a turn positively. I hope so. 2 legs to 20, guys. We're almost there. Thank you. So the Craig Kimbrell issue. Here's the thing. The Orioles went into this season in the hopes that Kimbrell could be that 1-year bridge to getting us back to Jose Bautista, to getting us back to Felix Bautista. Felix Bautista. They were hoping that he was going to come in for a 1-year contract. Oh, excuse me. That burp is sponsored by D&G Explorers. To be that gap for a season. Come in, be our closer, get us some saves, and then next year they'll let Kimbrell go. He only had a 1-year deal anyway. They bring back Felix Bautista in spring training, and we have our dominant closer back. And he started out really, really well. Kimbrell did. He had a good stretch there where he was just looking really dominant. And then all of a sudden the wheels fell off for him, and he blew 3 out of 4 saves or 4 out of 5 saves. He just didn't look himself. And I get it. He's 36, 37 years old. He's in the twilight of his career, absolutely. Potential Hall of Famer in Kimbrell for sure. And he's been struggling for the O's. And it's an issue because now we have to take guys out of roles that they're set and used to and thrive in and have them do other roles that they're not used to doing. So if they had Kimbrell at his A game the entire time, and look, no closer is perfect. Even Bautista last year, as dominant as he was, blew 6 saves. Now, that's not a lot, 6 all year, but he did blow 6 for what it's worth. If we can get Kimbrell back to closing games consistently and being really good, it falls in line for everybody else, whether it be Suarez to eat up innings, whether it be Cano to set up, Cionel Perez and Keegan Aiken to be your lefty guys when they need to set them up. It really falls in line. I can't say that I'm comfortable fully with anybody in this bullpen, but I'm more comfortable with them in the roles they are designed to be in. And if we can get Kimbrell back to closing, everybody else will fall back into the roles that they really excel at. Laura says, should the Orioles DFA Kimbrell next offseason because maybe his back is bothering him? Well, he's a free agent at the end of the season, Laura, so he wouldn't be back anyway. Pigtown Sports says, I give the thumbs up to Elias in that Craig is too old to pitch as much as Hyde uses the pen. Needed another guy. Oh, a thumbs down to Elias in that. Needed another guy to compliment. I don't know. I sometimes I think you're right. I think Hyde mismanages the bullpen sometimes. But I don't know. I think Kimbrell, I don't know. I just don't. I think that sometimes these guys need to be, they need to all have more length than they do. I'm sorry. I think that's part of the inherent problem with baseball today is how they coddle these pitchers and they don't teach them how to build up and to be able to go more innings. I mean, back in the day, you could have Tippy Martinez would come in and he'd have a 4-inning save. Before they really had saved guys. You'd have guys come in and pitch every day. You have starters that would pitch 9 innings, 200 pitches. Jim Palmer would do it for years. They all did it. Nolan Ryan would throw 230 pitches at the age of 40. But they were built that way. And Nolan Ryan threw 98 miles an hour. So it's the way they were built. These pitchers today aren't built that way. They're not allowed to build up their arm strength. And I think they should. Kimbrell is a 1-year deal. So no, yeah, he'll be a free agent. He's not coming back. No, they won't. No, they won't pick up the option. I really don't see them picking up the option. I feel like our pen is designated to do 1 inning and that's it. Yeah, and I don't like that, Pick Down Sports. I don't think that's smart. I think these guys should be taught to be built up to be able to pitch multiple innings. All of them, except maybe the closer, but maybe even the closer. I think they should all be able to pitch multiple innings on multiple days. I'm not saying that Yennier Cano has to pitch 2 innings today, 2 innings tomorrow, 2 innings the next game. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is if he pitches 2 innings today, he may have to go 2 tomorrow, and then he gets a day off. They don't do that. I agree with you. There's too much coddling with these pitchers, especially the starters. They have got to be more efficient with their pitches. We got guys that are throwing 100 pitches by the 5th inning. What are we doing? Be a little bit more efficient. Throw strikes. Let these guys put this ball in play. I just don't understand it sometimes. Sometimes you have to give in. If you're at a 2-2 count, 3-2 count, you don't have to be max velocity on every pitch. Just make a good pitch and let him put the ball in play. I don't know. There's so much wrong with the game. But I guess that's probably part of the issue, Randall. Again, as a closer, he should be used to pitching often in save situations. And you're right, because part of that is the Orioles play a lot of close games. They're not a team that blows teams out. They just don't. Which is kind of a head scratcher for having such a really good starting rotation that they have and the offense that they have. You would think they would blow teams out, but they don't. They play in a lot of close games. And so closers are going to be in games often. I think there's some guys in the minor leagues that they could play the David Price role for a season. We have Chase McDermott, Cade Povich, guys like that in the minor leagues who maybe come up in a role for the Orioles later on in the year, even though those guys are starters, and maybe they come out of the pen for a while just to get some experience and become dominant and help, just like they did with Tyler Wells last year. I think there's ways around this other than having to raid our minor league system to go out and get guys that might be a 1-year patch, Band-Aid. Jeremy Weingard, welcome in, buddy. Good to see you. See, Ryan Presley, again, I would like, who's the guy for, I would like, Mason Miller for Oakland? Who wouldn't want that guy? But what do you have to give up to get him? That's the thing. They're going to want a Kobe Mayo, they're going to want a Heston Kjerstad or a Connor Norby or a Cade Povich or something like that in a package deal to get that guy. Is a reliever worth that much of your minor league system for a reliever? I don't know. I don't know that I would, because relievers are very volatile. They are. For every reliever that has 1 or 2 good seasons, by the 3rd he could be done. So I'm reluctant to go after relievers too much because you just never know. Now, I'm not saying the Orioles are perfect. Look, they won with the team they had last year. With the bullpen they have this year, they're winning games. Again, they're still the best team in the American League. Part of me wants to say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I understand you want to get better, but at what cost? And that's what worries me. I just worry about the cost of what it's going to take to go out and get these guys. Call me nuts. I'd trade Mayo and Kjerstad for Kyle Tucker and Presley. See, I wouldn't do that. Because how long are you going to have Kyle Tucker and Presley after this season? I just wouldn't do that. I think that we're giving up on 2 guys that are going to be stalwarts in this lineup. And I think both of those guys are potential 40 home run hitters. And I don't know that Kyle Tucker or Presley would be guys that would be long-term answers for the Orioles. I don't know. I think they can win with what they got. And then you make tweaks at the end of the year. I'm not a fan of paying through the nose for a closer, too volatile of a position, even if Tucker is a 1-year rental. See, I wouldn't do it. Not for a 1-year rental. I just wouldn't. I mean, I guess maybe you're doing the all-in thing if you do that, But if they do something like that, if you give up a Kobe Mayo and a Heston Kjerstad to go out and get Presley and Kyle Tucker, you better win. Period. They better win. They better win the World Series if they do that. Look, I'm a big Rams fan. Okay, everybody knows this. Even though I'm from Baltimore, I've always been a Rams fan my entire life. A few years ago, the Rams traded away all their draft picks, and they went all in to win the Super Bowl. They said we're going for it. Remember, they didn't have a number 1 draft pick for like 5 years. After that, they traded them away to get Matt Stafford and some other players, and they won. It worked. It worked. They won the Super Bowl. But if the Orioles are going to do that, they better win, because if not, as quickly as this door has opened, it can shut that fast, and our window of opportunity is over. And that's what worries me. It's been too much losing in this town for me to just do that. If you're going to go all in, it's got to be the right moves. And those guys they're just too important to the future of this team. I like Clase over Miller. Clase has a record to look at. I don't think either one really play much here. But B, you're just a logjam at DH first. Yeah, exactly. Rams didn't. See, I picked out sports. I disagree. I don't think Ryan O'Hearn is a long-term answer with this team. I don't think he's going to be here much longer. I really don't. And I'm not even sure what's going to happen with Ryan Mountcastle. I think Mountie is awesome. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know that Mountcastle was a long-term answer here either. I can see Kobe Mayo becoming the first baseman for the Orioles. And Heston Kjerstad is definitely going to be one of our outfielders, because the 3 that we got out there right now are not long-term answers. I think both of those guys, I don't see a logjam at first base, because I don't think Ryan O'Hearn is the long-term answer. I just don't. He's going to be, 30, I think, or 29, 30 years old. Kjerstad's 23. Nope, I don't see it happening. Again, I could be wrong, but I don't. See, I don't see that either, because to be honest with you, I hate to say it, but I think the one trade chip is Basayo. I can see the Orioles trading him. I really do. I could see the Orioles putting him and somebody else in a deal, because they're going to say, look, Adley's only 25. He's going to catch for probably another 4 to 5 years. If they sign him, he's going to catch the majority for the next 4 to 5 years. We can go out and get a legitimate backup at a cheaper price to spell him. And then he doesn't need to play first. He can either catch or DH on those days. And then they can go somewhere else with first base. I don't see it. I think Basayo could be a trade chip. Nope, and I don't think Santander is not going to be on this team. He is a free agent at the end of this year. He's batting 219, 217, whatever it is. Maybe he turns it around. I think he will. He's not going to hit 219 for the season. But that being said, I don't think they're going to pay him the money. He's making almost $12 million right now. There's no way the Orioles are going to come to him and say, here's a 5-year deal for $15 million a year. I don't see it happening. Is Rutschman that old? Is he that old? I didn't think he was. Oh, was he 25 when he came up? Okay. But either way, I don't know. I'll be shocked if they get rid of Kobe Mayo or Heston Kjerstad. Because Mayo's another one in the minor leagues right now. There's nothing else he needs to do down there. He really he's raking. He's crushing everything. The guy needs to be up here. Just my opinion, but I think he's got to be up here at some point. We'll see. I don't want him to trade him. Again, me personally, if I'm the Orioles right now, we are in first place, and we haven't even been healthy all season. We haven't even played our best baseball all season, and we're still the best team in the American League, second best record. Imagine if we get everybody going. They can win with what they have. If, again, all things being equal and in a perfect world, and I get it, we don't live in a perfect world, but if we have everybody that we have on this team right now play to the potential that they can play, they don't have to play above it, just play to their potential or close to it, they can win. They don't have room for Holiday. They do. They'll make room for him, ultimately. I think that ultimately they'll make room for him. But anyway, look, it's a nice problem to have when you have this much talent, not just in your major leagues, but in your minor leagues, pushing and knocking at the door. But at some point, the Orioles got to they got to kind of push the button here at some point and turn the page on some of these players and say, you know what? Like you said, Cedric Mullins, 192. Maybe you need a reset for a while. Let's send you down. Hey, Kerstad, come on up. We're going to have you in right. We'll put Colton Cowser in center. We'll put Hayes in left or something along those lines. Those have a few active assets to work with as well. Mayo plays good at third. Holiday isn't better than Westberg at second. You don't think so? Oh, I think he will be. He's not better than him at second right now. But I think Jackson Holiday is the real deal. I think Jackson Holiday is going to be a superstar in this league. I really do. I think Westberg's going to be a star in this league as well. I mean, the Orioles are just flush with players, and I think Jackson Holiday is going to be a perennial all-star at second base for the Orioles, and it's going to be awesome. He's going to be great. I think Gunnar Henderson is going to be a perennial all-star. Adley Rutschman, Jordan Westberg, Colton Cowser. I think Cowser's got a potential to be a perennial all-star. I think the Orioles are really in a good spot. Yeah, no, I look, Westberg I think is really, really good. I think he's really good. But he's seasoned. I mean, Westberg has the most at-bats of any of the Orioles they have on the team right now, AAA at-bats. He's earned his way to his spot, and he's been great for the Orioles this year. He's an awesome player. And he's going to be on this team for a very long time, whether it be at third or second or wherever it may be. Jordan Westberg's going to be on this team. I think it'll be third, but can you imagine an infield of Ryan Mountcastle or Kobe Mayo, Jackson Holiday, Gunnar Henderson, Jordan Westberg, with Connor Norby coming off the bench? That's amazing. Maybe Ryan Mountcastle DHing, or Ryan Mountcastle at first and Kobe Mayo DHing. It's incredible what they have. Yeah, I agree on Gunnar Henderson. I wholeheartedly agree on that. And actually, it's funny you said that because that's going to segue me into the next thing I'm going to talk about. Who do I put at DH? Anybody. You can rotate the DH position. But I do want to talk about Gunnar Henderson. It's funny that you said that because I want to kind of segue into this. So all season long, Gunnar Henderson has been our Orioles leadoff hitter. I've never been a fan of it. I think that Gunnar Henderson, with the power that he possesses and the eye that he has, I think that he should be lower in the lineup. I think he can do more damage in the lineup. I know that Brandon Hyde has said he puts him first because he wants to see him get as many at-bats as he can get. But I think that Gunnar Henderson is much better suited to be lower in the lineup. 3 or 4 hitter. That's what he is. He's a 3 or 4 hitter. He's not a leadoff hitter. I just don't agree with it. I don't like it. If he hits a leadoff home run, that's fine. It's 1-0. But if he comes up with 2 men on in the first inning and he's batting third and he hits a 3-run homer, it's 3-0. I like him lower in the lineup. Okay, and you're going to say, who's going to lead off then? Well, you got a guy in Adley Rutschman, who, I get it, he's a catcher, but Jason Kendall used to lead off for the Pirates back in the day. Same type player. Obviously, Adley's better. But you got a guy who takes pitches, walks a lot, normally walks a lot. Nobody on the Orioles is walking this year, but normally. Has some power, has a really good eye, and gets on base. You could have Rutschman do it. You could have Jordan Westberg lead off if you have to. Maybe Cedric Mullins gets his act together. You can put Mullins back up there, and he could lead off. There's different aspects of it. I don't think the Orioles have a true leadoff hitter in this lineup, but I don't think it should be Gunnar Henderson. I just think he should be lower in the lineup. That's just my opinion. He has 2 hits all year in games we've lost, but hitting over 400 in games we've won. Yeah, exactly. Westberg leads off, then Adley, then Gunnar. Instant. Yeah, I mean, that's just, again, that's how I see it. I think you got a guy in Jordan Westberg or Adley Rutschman. Either one of them could lead off here and do a really good job. That's the way I see the lineup. I think you could have Jordan Westberg or Adley Rutschman for 1 and 2. Gunnar Henderson 3. Anthony Santander 4. Ryan O'Hearn 5. Ryan Mountcastle 6. Colton Cowser 7. Who am I missing? Cedric Mullins 8 and whoever else 9. What a lineup! I mean, could you imagine? Imagine if we get Jackson Holiday up here and he's hitting 7th. Cedric Mullins is 8th. And, wow, what a lineup! I mean, it's amazing. And they might, and that's a very good point. I think that ultimately Jackson Holiday might be the guy that they want to lead off, but I see him ultimately as the 2 guy in the lineup. I think he's your number 2 hitter ultimately. I think that the Orioles will have either Westberg or Adley and then Holiday. That's how I think the lineup will happen, because I think ultimately over time Adley's going to drop further down in the lineup, because like you said, this guy's close to being 27 already, which is kind of a bummer. I wish he would have came up a little bit sooner. But there's a lot of different options, but I just don't think Gunnar Henderson should be the leadoff hitter. I think he would be a much more feared, damaging hitter to these opposing teams if he was further down in the lineup. And we got the 20 likes. Thank you, gang. Again, I know we haven't been live lately, so I appreciate you guys doing that. But, yeah, there you go. So, look, Orioles' first pitch is going to be in about a minute. That is everything I wanted to cover. Ryan McKenna DFA'd today. Hopefully he stays in the organization. Heston Kjerstad sent down. Kyle Stowers, Austin Hayes back on the Orioles, not in the lineup tonight. But hopefully we get a win. Corbin Burns, our ace, is on the mound. I really hope we get the win. Guys, be sure to join us this week, Thursday and Friday, for our Orioles, not Orioles, but our Hall of Fame profiles. I just did a brand new video talking about my opinion on the Orioles outfield starters, Hayes, Mullins, and Santander, and what I think their future holds. Be sure to check that video out. Other than that, thank you all for joining me tonight. It's been a blast. It's good to be back. And until next time, I hope you all have a great week. Keep rooting for the O's, and take care of yourselves and each other. Bye, gang.